So we are finishing our last set of notes for chapter 2. Chapter 2, number 3, is on the financial plan, components 4, 5, and 6. Okay, components 4, 5, and 6. All right, so component 4. Plan for risk, managing risk. Plan for managing risk. Okay. Now, that doesn't mean about, driving cars fast or anything like that, not that kind of risk. We're talking about financial risk. We're talking about managing that fine balance between how, when you're doing investing and stuff, there's different levels of risk that can happen. Okay. Sometimes they are investments that are intended for you to do a quick purchase, sit on it for a short amount of time, and then sell. And then there are ones that they are tried and true and they earn well, so you sit on them for longer. Those quick ones have risk because that's what makes them quick, that you need to be watching them and be actively on top of them. Okay. And we are going to be doing a section on, investing a little bit in the stock market and all those kind of things. So part of managing our risk is, as you get valuables, okay, you need to plan to protect them. Okay, with insurance. Okay, each major purchase has its own type that's not an apostrophe, has its own type of insurance. Plus some little sub-insurances. Like for your house, there's little sub-insurances. Has its own type of insurance. So there is home insurance. There is car insurance. Okay. There is renter's insurance. There's all these different types of insurance for the specific situation. Okay. For the specific situation. So you have to look at, when you get this major purchase, that how are you going to work out the insurance and stuff. So not just the purchase price, but you have to be paying attention that I have this ongoing insurance I need to do to protect it. Okay. Now, another thing, along with insuring assets, which is your stuff, right? You need to insure yourself. Okay, you need to insure yourself, because if something happens, there goes your money, right? So that's when you have the medical insurance, the vision insurance, the dental insurance. Okay, making sure that you stay healthy. Insure yourself to make sure you're healthy. So your income is protected. Okay. Because if your income's not protected, everything goes out the window. So your income is protected in case you get sick or hurt. And nowadays, there's even more insurance than medical, dental, vision. There's cancer insurance, and there's disability insurance, and there's all these kind of insurances that'll protect your income. Okay. Because without the income, everything's out the window. That's component 4. Okay, component 5 is plan for investing. And like I said, we're going to be doing a whole chapter on each of these kind of. So this is just kind of an overview of what components go into things and what stuff we're going to be looking at individually a little more in depth. Like I said, we would be looking at more in depth about our budgeting and our taxes, and we look more in depth about the financing of the cars and the houses and stuff. And we'll look more in depth at. So each of these components we'll be doing a little deeper with in different chapters. Okay, so component 5 is plan for investing. Okay. You need to plan to have money left over after all the regular bills like groceries, right? Like the car payment, house payment, all the everyday stuff, okay? After all the regular bills are paid, for savings, to handle unexpected expenses. Okay, remember, it's not whether there's going to be an emergency, it's when there's going to be an emergency. When are you going to have the situation where you go with friends on a trip and you break your leg? Unexpected. Okay. Everyone has unexpected situations that happen in their lives. Everybody has emergencies in their lives. Okay. Everybody has all that. Okay. So with that, you need to plan to have money saved away. Okay. You need to plan to have money saved away for the unexpected emergencies. And they say usually 3 to 6 months of income is what you want in that savings account for emergencies. So in the event that something really catastrophic happens, like has happened to some families right now because of COVID, suddenly their income is gone. And if they didn't have the savings, then they're in a harder spot. Now, yes, there's unemployment insurance. Yes, there's these things out there that are trying to help them and protect them. But at the same time, it's really stressful to have to go ahead and plan to live off of, because unemployment insurance does not pay full money. Okay, it's only partial. Even with the COVID stuff, it's still only partial. So you need to be planning ahead to be banking a little bit of money each time. So you end up accumulating in your savings account anywhere between 3 and 6 months worth of your total money needed for your bills. Okay. That's one component of investing, having a savings account for emergencies. Another component of the investing is to um, have leftover money after the regular bills, after the savings for emergencies, leftover money should be invested so your money can make you money. And we kind of touched a little bit about on that when we were talking about compounded interest and simple interest and money making money for you, because they put the extra in and then you get interest on that too. And it just builds. Okay. It builds. Okay. Now, some investments, and we talked about this already, are riskier than others. But give a higher rate of return to make up for it. Okay. So some of the newer companies might offer you a bigger percent um, in order to um, entice you to go ahead and invest money in them. But whenever a company is new, you got to remember they don't have a track record yet. They don't have any history yet. So there's a chance that they might start and then go out of business. So that's why they're giving you a bigger percent for that risk, for that willingness to step out there with them. Okay. You need to have a balance between the risky high percent investing and the safe lower percent investing. And when we get to the investing chapter, you'll kind of see the difference between and why are some higher percent, why are some riskier, why are some safer and they pay lower percent. All that's going to be in the investment chapter when we do the investment chapter. Okay, questions so far that you need me to clarify? What do you mean by how long does it take to make a will? It's to make a will, it's like however long it takes you to type. Okay. And one of your projects is to make a will. I thought we already assigned that one, but we might not have. It might be the one that's coming. One of the ones that's coming. Any questions on component 4 or component 5 before I move the paper? All right. So now we're going to talk about component 6. Component 6. Now, component 6 is called plan for retirement. Okay, remember each of these was a piece of the plan. Sub-plans to the plan. Now, the reason why you need to plan for retirement is because if you don't plan, you will end up with nothing. You'll end up having to work until you're like 105. Not really. Just, that's there are some people that choose to work when they're older because they like the work that they're doing. They like the interaction. They like that kind of stuff. And then there are some people that have to work, that they wouldn't be able to make their bills if they didn't work. And that's because they didn't plan when they were young for their retirement. And by the time they did start planning, it was too late. And that's sad. Okay. So it doesn't take too long to plan. And as long as you get the plan in place and start following the plan, you're safer. Remember, you guys watched that video earlier about the net wealth, and a person could be a millionaire easily if they plan early and they start early and they follow the plan even when times get tough. They follow the plan. Okay. So it doesn't do any good to make a plan if you're not going to follow the plan no matter what. Okay. But that's why you have to be realistic about it. Now, one of the things that you have to do when you're planning retirement is realistically figure out how much money you will need to comfortably live off of. Now, we're not necessarily saying that you get to take a trip to the Caribbean every year. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about when you're planning for your retirement, you're planning, I need to have this amount of money so it covers the bills I have and makes it so that I don't worry about that. And I have a little bit extra to go do some fun things because I've worked very hard and I deserve to do some fun things now. Okay. So that's what we're talking about. Live off of it comfortably. We're not talking about be, crazy out there, you're jet setting around as retirement. You could choose that, but we're talking comfortably. My bills are paid. I have some extra to go do some fun things comfortably. There is going to be a project later on when we get to the retirement chapter that makes you go do that. Okay. So that's a thing to come. But you need to figure out how much money you will need to comfortably live off of and decide what age realistically, okay, realistically, what age will you retire? Not everybody's going to retire at 30 because they made a multi-million-dollar company. Some people have to plan that they're not retiring until they're 50 or 60 or 70. And then there are the people that they never retire because they really like what they do, so they don't mind going to work. But retire means stop working. Okay. Retire means stop working. Okay. Stop going to a job. That's what retire means. Okay. So you need to decide, when are you going to stop going to a job, going to a working situation? A lot of people who retire then volunteer. They're still going and doing stuff. It's not like you stop doing things, it's you stop doing things. As a volunteer, you can choose to go. As a worker, you have to go. You see the difference? So that's what we're talking about, retire. Okay. Now, you are going to be using the formulas that we already learned from chapter 15 to figure out how much money you need to start saving to reach your goals, your financial goals. Okay. Now, there are different components that you can use to do that, different ways you can reach your financial goals. There are things called annuities. Are the best choice. To plan for putting money away. Each year. Okay. The reason why is because annuities have restrictions on them about how you can take the money back out. Then remember we talked about yesterday about liquidity. The easier it is for you to get to the money, the more likely you are to spend the money. So if you make the money difficult to get to, you're more likely to let it pile up and accumulate. So annuities are the best way to build wealth because there's restrictions. Annuities are your retirement accounts and things like that. They're called annuities. And we'll go into that a little bit more when we get to the retirement, chapter. The next way is to make sure, so the best choice is annuities. The second best is savings accounts that have compounded interest at least monthly. And we learned about that when we did the chapter 15 stuff last week, about that the compounding monthly is more powerful than the compounded quarterly and things like that. Annuities are a little bit more than savings accounts. They're a little deeper than savings accounts. They're a type of savings plan. And like I said, we'll get into it when we get into the retirement chapter. We're going to go more into annuities and the different kinds of annuities and the different kinds of accounts and stuff. But they're a way of saving, but they're more than just a savings account. Okay. Yes, like a 401k, like a 403b, Roth IRAs and things like that. We're going to be getting into those when we get into that chapter. Okay. They're specialized savings accounts. Now, annuities are specialized savings accounts where you put in a fixed amount over and over and over and over. Okay. Savings accounts, you can put it in whatever, however you want. But there's restrictions and there's payment plans and things like that. And we'll get into it when we get into the annuities. We're just kind of glancing at them for this chapter. The next way to build the retirement plan is through stocks and bonds. And we do have a chapter on investing that's going to go over the difference between stocks and bonds. Are okay, but you have to remember to keep the balance mentioned in component 5. number 5. Okay. So with their stocks and your bonds, you have to worry about managing your risk. Okay. Oh, apparently there's a component 7. I didn't notice. It's short. I'll change the title after. Component 7 is plan for communicating and record keeping. So I'll change the title. If you want to change the title on the top of your work page you're doing right now to say 4, 5, 6, 7, that's fine. Otherwise, don't worry about it. Okay, the plan for record keeping. It's important for you to keep records because if something happens to you, you won't necessarily be able to tell the person what you want, which is when somebody mentioned earlier about a will. So you need a will or trust. And there is a difference, and we're going to be going over a will section, and it's going to talk more about the difference between a will or a trust. To tell your loved ones your wishes after you die. It's a legal document that explains how you want things to happen. Okay. So that's the communicating part of it. And then you need to keep track of your expenses and income monthly and yearly to make sure you are on track with your plan. And that's the budgeting, okay, that we already kind of touched on, okay? Okay, we got it? So at the top of your Google Doc, go change it to 4, 5, 6, 7 for me. Take your pictures, insert them on that Google Doc. Or since you were typing it, go ahead and turn in the Google Doc. But right now, if you need to go off camera to take the pictures, that is fine. Take the pictures, come back on camera, okay? Take the pictures, come back on camera.